Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 444, recorded live on Saturday, September 10th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we have two returning guests from Utopia on Kyber, Antha.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me back, Patrick.
Yeah, welcome back. And then also from YouTube, mostly, Axel.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you both back on. Got the A squad, the A team on the show this time around.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
Let's see, the screenshot for the week. Savon Dios prepares for the oncoming storm on the 285th screenshot of the week. That's a nice shot. I'm not actually sure where that is.
Just trying to figure that out too.
Amrath or Tip of Spine, maybe?
Maybe, because it's got to have the... Well, I feel like you'd probably need to be somewhere where the Shadowfell is, to get that haze, or maybe... I don't think the Underdark goggles would really give you that effect, but it's a nice screenshot in any case, and I like the glowing eyes. Great shot for glowing eyes. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums. You can find us on iTunes and just listen to it, or you can find us on our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be Saturday, September 17th in the morning. You can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com, with a calendar. On the podcast this week, we're going to be talking about some of Update 32. We got to look at the loot, so we can talk about that. This week, there's also a bit of community news. A lot of lightning posts this week. Our debate last week generated some fun discussions. We'll be going over some of that. But for our roundtable, what we're going to be talking about, continuing our series in gearing. I get a lot of questions about gearing, or whenever I ask for questions, which I actually just did on the forums. So if you want to suggest some things, you can go there. But a lot of things that we get often are gearing. What gear should I use for this kind of a build? And then there's also things like, tell me about this build, tell me about that build, which is kind of hard because if I get too specific, I feel like I'd have to you'd be covering so many. There's so many things that you could cover in terms of builds and specific builds and specific gearing. Having said that, I'm trying to think about ways to incorporate more of that into the show. But what we have been doing is doing series on gear by slot. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of our favorites and why they're our favorites and kind of what characters or builds might like them. Then we'll kind of talk a little bit about what's kind of currently the best in slot. Note that this is pre-update 32, so we're not going to incorporate anything from that in that, although we will be talking about that loot in this episode. And if this is something that you have questions about gearing and you're curious about what things you should gear, you can look at our back episodes and just look for the ones that have an item slot in their title. And those will be very similar to this, but with a different item slot. So with that, we're going to talk about gloves. And I know my reaction, we've kind of talked about this before the show, my reaction was gloves. Oh, well, this is going to be a fairly short discussion. I don't really feel like I can't really think of a lot of gloves that I would necessarily bring to this conversation. And then I started looking through the list, and there's actually a surprising number of gloves that I put down under my favorites. And I think, Antha, you were saying kind of the same thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them, and even for like starting players that are easy to get and good to gear up if you're starting your TR process or just looking for some good gloves.
Yeah, there's some... I kind of looking through the list, and my experience with this was there's a lot of good gloves. There's not a lot of great gloves. Like once you get towards end game and you're best in slot, the options for kind of different characters weren't as good as I would have liked them to be, if that makes sense, like some of the other slots. But in any case, we'll start with kind of our favorites. So these are ones that we feel deserve some mention on the show because of a variety of reasons. They're not necessarily going to be the best in slot, but you might find them at specific levels to be so. So, Axel, do you want to... We're just going to go around one at a time. So, Axel, do you want to start us off here?
Yeah. The first pair I listed was minimum level 5. They're the charge gauntlets from the Chronoscope raid. They're really easy to get, and they have an effect on them. It gives you extra damage on a 20 roll. And I find that extra damage, it's 10, 60 electric damage, really nice at your low heroic levels.
Is it really that
So,
much at level 5?
yep,
Wow.
yep. Yep, it's a lot of extra damage. It's really nice. Even though you're only getting it on a 20, it's still a really nice extra chunk of damage.
And they also have strength on them, which is kind of a common... If you're looking at something for a martial character, you'd probably end up with the gloves of strength, just because almost all the named gloves kind of along those lines tend to have strength on them.
Right, it's an easy way to fit in your +2
Yeah.
strength at that level. And they're pretty easy to get. A lot of people will pass it to you at the Chronoscope raid. So
There is something
not
fun
too
with
difficult.
with this glove, too, and that it has that set bonus, which,
Mhm.
when you're at low levels, is pretty easy to get. And there's not necessarily, you probably won't have a ton of gear around that level anyways that you're going to find that's going to compete with it. So the set bonus can be kind of nice. While we're here, we should mention there's an epic version of these. It's a lot harder to do because you have to play with that scroll, seal, shard mechanic, which can be really challenging, particularly if you're new or just getting started. But it has essentially the same stuff, just a little bit better. So strength 6 and a greater set bonus. I don't know if the heroic one has a slot off the top of my head.
No, it doesn't.
No.
One thing it does have, though, that I think is worth mentioning is it has 10 lightning resist on it, which,
Yeah.
if you have a guild ship, that probably doesn't matter. But when you're facing those there's kobold shamans and waterworks and things, it can be nice.
Well, it's important to note
If you
that
don't have the guild ship.
the guild ship buffs that are going to not stack with this are going to be the ones that if you die, you lose, too. So that is something to consider with this.
Mhm.
And I don't believe the shocking blow with this. There's a trinket you can get out of the Crystal Cove that has the same effect, and I don't believe they stack. They might give you they might both work in conjunction, but I seem to recall reading somewhere that they don't. But
I'm
that
not
was a long
sure.
time ago. Yeah, even if they do, you're probably not going to be using both of them for very long. So
Right.
You get some good use out of those in Into the Deep, where everything takes double electric.
yeah, that's true. What do you got for us, Antha?
My favorite gloves, and I'm not sure if they're one of my favorites because of how long it took me to farm these things, but I really like the 7-fingered gloves, especially for TRing. They're min level 9 with disable and open lock plus 11, and UMD plus 5. And up until recently, that was one of the best UMD items you could get. But I find it really useful for my splash builds, and they last me all the way up to about level 20, level 21 sometimes if I can push it. And that's without using boosts. So I think they're a great item for the slot,
They're hard to
especially for the
get.
level. They are. It took me over 60 runs, and then they released them with that 10th anniversary. So that's one way you could have got them.
Yeah, and this is an item from the Titan raid. Which
Yep.
is part of the
I'm
reason
from
why it's
Titan.
hard to do, because you don't see a lot of people running it overly often, which is unfortunate. It's the pre-raid at least is a lot of fun. I don't particularly like the design of the actual raid. I like elements of it, and then and then parts of it are not as good as other raids. In any case, I will continue that theme with the hard-to-get items because people don't tend to run them anymore. With the Vile Blasphemy out of Abbott, which is a level 13 item. The thing that's really nice about this, and this is not something you're likely to wear a lot. It's got kind of a weird. It does has UMD and dexterity. But the thing that's really useful about this is the power drain effect. And when you get it initially, now it's 1 charge, and then if you upgrade it with a Seal of the Black Abbot, you can get it up to 3 charges per day. What it does is it gives you spell points back over a minute. So it regenerates some spell points, which, depending on what your style is and how much you run and what you're doing, extra spell points is great. Again, it's kind of hard to get because you have to do Heroic Abbot, and it's not even when it was the endgame raid. Abbott has not ever really been a commonly run raid. Unfortunately, it does have some of the best puzzles or kind of challenges in the game to a certain extent.
You still get groups that fail that raid.
Yeah. Well,
It's tough to flag
It's a
for
tough
too.
one.
Well, flagging is not as hard as you might think, because a lot of people will run that stuff for XP. Especially the pre-raid is a very lucrative XP run if you can get into it, and you know what you're doing. But yeah, although then you don't usually find a lot of people actually doing the flagging part at the end of the raid after you get the quest and doing the optionals. But there are some people that still do it. But, one quick note about the power drain effect, though, it does not stack with. If you get the spell song from a bard, you can only have one of the two going at a time. And the spell song from the bards gives you fewer spell points, but because it lasts longer, it will override the power drain effect. So just kind of be generally aware of that. All right, Axel, what's your next one?
All right, so I play cleric, so I have to throw in a cleric item. The Gauntlets of Eternity from the Reaver's Fate raid. They've got Devotion 60, Heal 13, and they've got Healing Lore plus 15%. And Healing Lore is pretty tough to find on an item, and it's a nice item to have if you're on a cleric because it combines all these healing effects you need onto one item.
And it's
So
an item, not a weapon.
Right. It's an item, not a weapon.
And it's worth noting that with this one, there is an epic version of it. It's instead of Gauntlets of Eternity, it's Gauntlets of Immortality.
Right.
Which is level 25 and comes out of the Fall of Truth raid. It's basically the same item, just upgraded. So the
Right.
With
devotion is
the
It's a
greater
little different.
regeneration.
It does have the regen on it, which the heroic version doesn't. But I find the heroic version to be more useful at that level than the epic version is at the epic level. Just because when you're in epics, you have a lot of other really good gloves that are competing with it, whereas when you're at level 13, 14, 15, you don't have that as much. So
Sure. The nice thing with the immortality gloves though is I find I've got a couple of sets on not my straight melees, but like my paladin has a set. And I know I've seen other people in the raid take a pair, even though they're not really a divine, not even really a healing class, just a fighter or a monk taking it, just because it can be a huge boost to Cocoon or any of your epic destinies that you just swap in at the time, right?
right.
I was gonna say those are good situational item, even
Right.
for like a druid who needs to just help heal when the cleric goes down or something.
Yeah, see, I actually find them to be more useful for non-clerics for that reason, because if you're a cleric, you already got your aura, right? So regen is not going to be, the regen effect on there is not going to be a huge thing for you.
I'm not a big fan of regen effects in general, honestly. I mean, they're nice. I don't mind getting a little bit extra hit points, but usually on an item at least, the regen is like at most like 1 every 10 seconds or something crazy like that. So they're not really going to do anything more than keep you from dying if you get incapacitated, assuming you don't get
I just
hit.
thought it was a cool feature.
What was that?
I just thought it was a cool feature for them. You don't see
yeah,
the
sure.
greater regen on pretty much anything.
Yeah, it's not going to save you in the middle of
No.
a fight by any chance, by any stretch of the imagination, but if you can stack on the heal amp and run away, maybe heal up a little bit and go back into a fight, it could be useful in that situation, especially if you're soloing.
Yeah, there's actually...
But no, it's not the best. It's not the best. Obviously it's not the best thing in the world on an item, but it's has its situational uses, I think. And I think some people just really like it for the lore reason or the the flavor reason. I mean,
Yeah, it's a good flavor part of it. There was a long time ago, a developer kind of spoke on the subject of regeneration and why they don't want it to be really good, in a sense. And it basically came down to concerns that they didn't want players to just stop questing to wait for regeneration to heal them. So they kind of intentionally made it a low number. I don't know if that still holds true in kind of their process, but that was a while back.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see groups really waiting on you. So, but okay.
Back in the day, well, I mean, this was pre, Epic Lord of, like the very first versions of Epic Lord of Blades, where groups would spend 15 minutes torquing their spell points back. So There
Yeah.
are
Okay.
situations where that I've seen that happen even after that comment. So something to keep in mind. Antha, what's your next one?
I'm gonna go with the purple Dragon Knight gauntlets, and you can get those pretty easily just by turning in the 5 commendations of the purple Dragon Knights. It has a +7 strength and insightful constitution +2 with a 60 +60 competence bonus to healing amplification, and it's got the set bonus as well. But for level 20, that's a pretty nice set of gloves.
They're really easy to get. I mean, who doesn't need all three of those things on a character?
Exactly.
So if you're a new player or you got a new character and they're just hitting epics, uh, you can't go wrong with these gloves. Even today, most of my characters, when they go back down to level 20 in Epic Reincarnation, this is the gloves they're wearing. It's
It's
just
a great
it's hard to beat.
great universal TR item. Sorry
Yeah,
about that, Patrick.
no, you're fine. They're hard to beat,
Yeah.
and they're fantastic. So,
Yeah.
and
If you heal with positive energy, be pretty much a must at level 20. These are big.
even the helm that goes with it isn't bad either. I mean, it's Con 7, Insightful, Strength 2 with Intimidate on it. So, that's, again, and that's really easy to get. And PDK comms are really, if you're running stuff in Eating Star, you're going to get PDK comms. Yeah, pretty quick. Let's see. What's one that I will take? I'm going to throw out the Brawling Gloves. This comes out of Crystal Cove. They're kind of a fun little item just because you can actually get a pair. They're minimum level 4, 8, 12. They're one of these challenge items, so you can get them at every 4 levels. What's nice about them is at level 12, they have and above, they have this ability called Glass Jaw Strike. And if you're a monk, this is a great item for you. Because what the Glass Jaw does is it basically, it does a couple things, but it increases your, on a natural 20 with an unarmed attack, you can daze an opponent, and also knock it. You can also have a chance to knock it down. It's only unarmed, but it's still pretty slick, and will help you with some stuff. It also, I think once you get to level 16, no, it looks like it's lower, all the way down to 4, you get Spike Studded, which gives you 1d4 piercing damage on your attacks. It doesn't make your attacks piercing, unfortunately. That would be really helpful, because monks can't do that with their unarmed attacks, but it's a little extra damage. They've also got strength on them, and a sneak attack bonus and a slot. So they can be a really handy item. You can take these all the way to level 24. I actually keep mine at level 20, just because it's a swap, a lower item. When I get higher up, I've got some other things I like to throw in on my monk occasionally, but I still keep it around. It's kind of a fun little. Well, it's actually unique. I don't think it's Glass Jaw Strike is anywhere else in the game or any other items, so it's kind of fun. Axel, you're up.
Okay, the next one I have is the Spectral Gloves out of the Demon Sands. I use these more as a swap item just because when you have these on, you can hit ghosts. So it's not something I would have equipped at all times, but it's just something I keep as a swap item when I do run into those ghost specter type enemies that just throughout all level ranges, mid levels all the way up to like low epics until I get in a higher level epic item that can give me this effect permanently.
Yeah, the ethereal effect. I think this is the lowest level you can get ethereal.
I think it is. Yeah.
There's the ethereal bracers out of Ghosts of Perdition in the Orchard, but it's a couple levels higher. You can also make an epic version of this. I wouldn't really bother unless you happen upon the ingredients. I wouldn't farm for them. It just increases the dexterity and just a hit on it. But really, the ethereal effect is what you're going for on this, right?
Right. I never even bothered. I think I might have the ingredients. I just never bothered to actually epic it.
If you're gonna,
If you do, make sure you have an extra pair.
yeah.
Well, I almost didn't want to because it would increase the minimum level, and then I couldn't. Then I have to farm them out again to use them in heroics. So.
The other thing is, if you're gonna farm for something at level 20, to have that effect, you're probably better off going to House Cannith and running the challenges and getting the Ring of the Stalker, which has Ghostly on it, which allows you to hit things as it, bypass ethereal. Essentially, it also gives you incorporeality, a percent for incorporeality, and has a lot of better stuff on it, in my opinion. So
What minimum level is that? You said it was
20.
20? Okay,
You
yeah,
can get
it
it.
would be
Well,
20 then.
it's one of those challenge items, so you can get it at different levels, but the epic version is level 20, and you can upgrade it. I think it has insightful sneak attack damage, or seeker damage, something like that. You get seeker and
Manslayer
sneak
too,
attack.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it has manslayer and ghostly and slots. It's actually one of my favorite rings in the game. I have a couple characters that use it all the way to cap, just because it's pretty handy. And it's a very common place for me to throw in the Master's Gift augment, because I'm usually wearing it anyways. But yeah, it's a really good ring. But for gloves, because we're talking about gloves, the spectral gloves are our favorite of mine as well, just for the ethereal. In heroics, you swap it in, and you don't have to worry about carrying a ghostly weapon. All right, Antha, what do you got?
I got Gloves of Titan's Grip from the Mind Sunder. It drops in that with that optional chest where it requires the 4 discs. They're min level 18. They've got a Reconstruction, Repair Lure 5, Repair Systems, and +6 Strength when you fully upgrade them, with 3 charges of a Titan's Grip on them, which I think is the +6 Psionic bonus to Strength, so you can get +12 to your Strength. I know there's better items now for the level, but it's still a pretty nice weapon, or a pretty nice glove.
The clicky is really great.
It is,
If
yeah.
you're running, say, I don't know, Legendary Elite Tempest Spine, and you have to hit a 75 Strength, and you're not quite there, this can be an option for you. Quick note about it,
Extra
though.
+6.
Yeah, it's a psionic bonus, which does not stack with Power Surge for fighters. Just be aware of
Oh,
that.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
But that bonus, I use these too. That bonus is really hard to find. It's not on very many items, so unless you're a fighter, these can be really useful as a swap item.
I don't
It's a
When you're
know.
nice
not,
item.
I like
for
using
the-
them when I'm not too lazy to actually hit it and swap
Yeah.
it back.
You tend to use them for pulling a strength lever. It only lasts a minute, so it's not the most useful thing in the world in quick zerging combat. But I think that there used to be one of the Christmas cookies or the festival cookies used to have this on it. I don't know if it still does. But
No, I think that passed. But at
Yeah.
one time, you're right. Yeah, they did have it.
all right, I'm gonna go with the Epic Gloves of the Claw. And I'm going to preface this again. This is a scroll seal shard item, so it's hard to get. It's a pain to get. It's a real pain to get. It took me a while to get these, and I never actually got the other part of the set. I just couldn't ever get the seal for it, for the bracer set. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is, again, it has healing amplification 60, which is nice. Everyone likes healing amplification. Strength 6. The reason I bring this up, though, is it has enhanced intimidate +5. So it gives you a different kind of bonus to intimidate that you're likely going to run into, because it's an enhancement bonus instead of a competence bonus, which is what you're usually going to find on any kind of a skill on an item. That's why it's low for a level 20. And there's probably a couple places where you can get this, but it's pretty rare. So if you're really trying to maximize your intimidate, and you can, if you need to, you can switch this in if you're an intimitank, and you need just that extra intimidate to get where you're trying to get to. And the rest of the stuff on it's not bad, right? If you're using the PDK gloves or the iron mitts, which we'll probably talk about here in a minute, you're not losing your healing amplification. You're barely losing any strength. But you get that extra 5 intimidate. All right, Axel, around to you.
Next one I have is the Nether Grasps from the High Road. And I don't use these much anymore, but when I was running a kind of a tactics build, I like to use these because it has Demonic Might, which is a +2 profane bonus to strength, and it's not the most common bonus to find. So if you're really looking for those strength DCs at your mid-epic to low epic levels, they're a nice option. Plus they have a pretty big seeker bonus on them, which is pretty nice to fit in at this slot as well.
I'm a big fan of the diversion on these, actually. It has open lock 20 on it, which is handy if you need open locks, but I'm a fan of pretty much anything diversion, because unless I'm actually running a tank, I don't want aggro.
Yep.
And, just in today's environment, you can do a lot of damage, so it's pretty easy to get aggro if you're not paying. Especially the gap between like a true tank build and not a tank build in DPS can actually be surprising. And I've seen a lot of tanks actually struggle to keep aggro just because they're not doing much DPS. So the diversion can be really helpful. And it has arcane casting dexterity, which reduces arcane spell failure. So if you're one of those crazy casters that likes to run around in heavy armor, this might be something to look into. There's a couple places you can get that too. But...
Yeah, this is one of those items that has 3 versions: Epic Normal, Epic Hard, and Epic Elite.
I think it has a normal, hard, and elite version too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it should. Heroic, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually 6 versions. You're right.
Although, let's see, the heroic version has the lesser arcane casting dexterity, so it's -5. The epic normal version also is -5 to spell failure, and then it goes up to 10. So, and the epic versions have demonic might, but the other ones do not. Although I always felt that demonic might felt a little out of place on this item.
Well, it's a kind of a weird item because there's a lot of different things for different classes.
Yeah.
You've got your open lock for your rogues. You've got your arcane casting for your dexterity for your casters. You've got demonic might for your people who want the high DC on their strength. So yeah, it's strange, strange item for sure.
It's still a good item.
Yeah,
for sure. Antha, your turn.
Going with that whole roguish feel, I'm going to go with the Gloves of the Forgotten Craft, which drop out of the Giant Hold Tor and I believe the White Dragon chest. They've got, for level 14, you get a Disable Device plus 15. That's really good. It's also got a Yellow Augment slot with a Dexterity Augment plus 4 in there, and an attack bonus of plus 3. And this is also one of those items that has 6 different versions for the difficulties.
Yeah, they were doing that for a little while to try and get people to go. It was kind of the pre-mythic incentive for running things on Elite. Now this has been replaced with the mythic version, mythic bonuses now. Which is
Glad they dropped that. No one was going after the normal or hard versions.
Yeah.
Just made loot convoluted.
It did kind of make loot a little convoluted. It also meant that now if the bonus increment is so much smaller that if you get it on normal, you're not bummed out that you didn't run it on elite. So that helps. I'm gonna throw out the iron mitts. We've talked. I look at the iron mitts as like the better PDK gauntlets. They're a little harder to get because you have to actually find them, but you can find them in the Wilderness area in 3 Barrel Cove. I'm not sure if they're dropping the quest or not, but it's a strength 8, so you get a little incremental bonus there. Vitality 40, which is still pretty. It's not an overly common place to get hit points or way to get hit points. The vitality bonus, and it's one of the better ones you're going to find. Still has your healing application 60 and resistance 7 and a colorless slot. So you lose the insightful constitution 2 and upgrade everything else. But you're probably gonna get just as many hit points, well, more or less as many hit points from vitality than insightful constitution. So
I had that listed as my best in slot. Just you got to have that 60 healing amp.
Yeah,
I have to. I'm really weird about healing amp. Like I love having healing amp. I always try to stack as much as I can on my characters. I
didn't personally put it in best in slot because it feels a little underwhelming for me to have that be the best in slot. But I think it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning,
yeah.
Right? That there's a lot of good gloves, but there's not a lot of great gloves, particularly for melee. And I would not really argue the point that this is a best in slot for melee, even though you're probably going to find better strength somewhere else on one of your other items. But the healing amp and the vitality and the resistance bonus are great to have. So.
Yeah, the healing amp especially, I just find that really hard to find. It's hard to find in other slots, that kind of bonus.
Do you have any more favorites, Axel, before we move into best in slot?
I don't think so. That's actually my whole list. You all already named the ones I was going to say.
Antha, do you have any more you want to throw out there?
I got one that's worth a mention. The skirmisher gloves. It's just a +8 strength for level 15 that you will always get at the end of the Thrill of the Hunt quest. Drops in the end reward list, and I mean it's not great, but if you're looking for a strength item, that's a guaranteed one right there.
If you're a new iconic character,
Yep.
easy to get, and you're always going to get it, which is nice. You don't have to kind of roll the dice. I'm going to throw one more out here as a favorite. It's Gloves of the Glacier. They come out of Vision of Destruction. Again, it's a raid. It's easier to run. People don't tend to run it very often, but it's not like you don't have to do any flagging for it. You just have to know how to get there. Someone has to know how to get there, and maybe they have to drag everyone else by the coattails. The thing I like about it is it has Efficient Metamagic Maximize 2 and Efficient Metamagic Extend 2. So level 13 gloves. Once you get them, they're a great reincarnation item. In my general experience with spell points on casting classes that are really throwing spell points out there to kill things, until you get into epics, it can be a little hard to have a lot of spell points and to keep your spell points up, particularly if you're not running in a full party and are doing the bulk of the work or soloing. You can go through spell points pretty quick. So saving 4 spell points per damage spell that's maximized can be a big bonus. Actually, kind of along those lines, when I spend my action points on spellcasting classes, they have most of them in one of the trees have like efficient metamagic selections, and you can pick maximize and empower, extend, enlarge to reduce those costs. And I always pick maximize first because it's the most spell point reduction out of any of them. So
Those are just an honorable mention. I mean, man, back when that was endgame, every caster wanted those. I'm glad I got a pair when I did.
Yeah.
Plus, it had that what was it? That third bonus with the dragon touched armor that you had a slot machine for.
Yeah, the Glacial Assault, which at the time was like the best ice combination you could get. I don't even remember what that bonus is. I mean, you can get better stuff easily, much easier in terms of like what that bonus will give you. But yeah, at the time, it was the thing you needed. See, with 2 items, it's plus 72, and with 3 items, it's plus 78. Woo!
You can get that at what, like level 10 now?
Yeah. But the meta magic stuff is nice. Yeah, it's nowhere near best in slot. Probably not even at that level. But if you have a pair, they're kind of nice. You can find that stuff. Those probably the reason why I bring them up too is you can find efficient meta magic stuff on other items in other slots too. So if as we're going through different gear, you're saying why we like these items. Healing amplification is a really popular one in gloves because it's on a lot of gloves. Take that into account when you're looking at your gear. We like healing amplification. Look for stuff that has healing amplification. So in other slots. All right, best in slot. I've got a couple here. Axel, what do you got for best in slot?
Iron Mist for mine. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
So I'll just pass, I guess.
Antha?
I was going to go with the Gauntlets of the Arcane Soldier. I'm still after a pair of those for Antha. That quality +1 spell focus and that augmentation 9. Yeah. Any DC caster wants a set of those. Plus, it's got 2 augment slots. I think it's a green and a yellow.
Green and yellow. The quality spell focus is +1 to all of your DC. A quality +1 bonus to all of your DCs. I think you can actually get a +2 quality +2 if you get the spellcaster robes or any of the spellcaster ones armors out of Legendary Spine or Hound. There's a couple other places you can actually find quality spell focus. It's a little more common than you might think on named items. Or at least the newer legendary kind of stuff. The arcane augmentation though is really nice. It, if I remember correctly, that increases your cash level by 2 or something like that.
Yep, it's by 2.
Which
one of the higher items in the game.
Yeah, so we're talking about that in terms of damage, primarily. It gives you a little extra damage for your different spells. Spellcraft 20, which gives you +20 to your spellcraft, which adds more damage to elemental stuff. So yeah.
It's got Wizardry 11, but you can get better now. But I mean, hey, you know what? It's a great item.
I always like having. It seems kind of weird. Like you can get better wizardry stuff, but I like having wizardry stuff on gear that I'm going to commonly be wearing, so I don't have to
Yep.
remember to switch to it at a shrine and then switch out of it after the shrine. Because the number of times I've gotten to the end of the quest and said, "Oh, hey, look, I'm still wearing my haggle item," will give you an indication of how badly I switch things around like that. So,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I stopped doing that for that very reason. I've gone away from swappables. It's just too inconvenient.
yeah. You got any other ones that you consider best in slot, Antha?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I got a couple more I'll throw out there. I'm gonna throw out the Feigned gloves, which come out of the orchard. They're not from the raid. They're one of the other items. It's got a couple things on here that arcane casting dexterity we've talked about. The minus 10 to spell fader, which can be nice. They're blurry, intelligence 11, and magical efficiency 10%, which is there's a couple places you can get that, but I think this is the only one on gloves. It reduces your spell point cost by 10%. So it's a nice little casting item, and it's fairly easy to get. You can get this in the Enror for the chain. It's in one of the quests. I don't remember which one off the top of my head.
I think that's Vol.
Is it Vol? Which is
I think so.
the easiest one to get.
Yep.
So, yeah, great little item. You can find, but I would say the Gauntlets of the Arcane Soldier are probably a better item that you can find, but they're harder to get than the Fang
Yeah,
gloves.
that's a raid item.
Yeah, the Fang gloves are not. So that's why I kind of threw them in here. Another
And
one.
those
Go ahead.
those really differ from the heroic version, don't they? 'Cause isn't the heroic version like strength?
Possibly.
Pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's strength 6 and lesser arcane casting dexterity. So it's a little different. But yeah. And then see, the next one I want to throw out the dashing gloves, which come out of one of the new. I didn't really write down good intentions. And this is a great item because it's everything that's on it. The items that came out with that pack, update 31, were very tight in what they do. So it's not some of these other items we talked about, like the another grass. This is kind of a strange collection of abilities. These one, it's like, okay, this is a bard item. You know what it is. Or a warlock. A Fey warlock would also benefit a lot from this. It's resonance and sonic lore, so you get sonic spell power and sonic lore. This comes in a heroic level 17 and an epic level 28 version. It has quality charisma on it, quality perform, and you can get a mythic version. So if you're doing sonic damage or you like charisma, but more if you're doing sonic damage, this is a must-have. I don't know that you can actually get higher resonance and sonic lore even on a weapon. Plus 4 to your quality charisma and quality perform for more sonic damage. You can't beat it if you're a Fey warlock or a bard.
I think that's the highest unless you craft legendary green steel.
Possibly, yeah. And then the other one I'm going to mention, and this is kind of more of a melee. It comes out of Mark of Death, which, if you're going to go for this item, just plan on running Mark of Death 20 times. It's probably the safest bet. Just be prepared for that. But it has UMD 5, Scorching Sun, which does damage, does light damage when you hit things, which is a pretty slick little thing. It has Deadly 11. It has Greater Dispelling Guard, which is kind of whatever. But it also gives you extra smites if you are a paladin, so that's kind of nice. The Scorching Sun is 2d6 light damage when you hit with weapons. So, a little extra damage. And light is not very commonly resisted. So.
And it makes your smites regen faster, doesn't it?
It might. Yeah, it does. Extra smites is +2 smite evil per rest and regenerate 10% faster. So yeah. Great paladin item, good melee item just in general. If I have them, they're kind of, if I want to do more DPS, I put those on. If I want to have a little more survivability, I put the Iron Mitts on. That's kind of for melee. I would say that's where I'm swapping between. So, I think that covers all the name stuff. I want to close our discussion on gloves. We're going to go around the table, and what are some things you like to look for in random loot? Do you even bother looking for random gloves? So we'll just go around the table real quick. Axel, we'll start with you.
I don't. There's a lot of really good named gloves, especially in epics. So I'm not even considering random loot when it comes to gloves.
Antha?
The only thing I really look for is if you can luck out and find like a 2 stats on a pair of gloves or a ring or whatever. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I don't tend to look for the stats. The thing that I have found that have interested me in random gloves since the random loot change is DC stuff, specifically for your martial character. So Assassinate for Rogue. I pulled a level 30 pair of gloves that was, I don't remember what, Assassinate plus Assassinate DC plus Insightful Assassinate DC. I'm like, hey, that's fantastic. I will use those on my Rogue.
Got a pair of those, yep.
Yeah, so, and I've seen some stunning, some ones that are stunning. So there's some DC, like those kind of tactical, martial ability DC stuff. That's kind of what I tend to keep an eye out for. I have a feeling when I start, if I get into crafting at a high enough level, that a glove spot might actually be a very commonly crafted space for me. That it would be nice to have, say, healing amplification and whatever else I want on it at a level 30 level, right? Although I don't remember off the top of my head if healing amplification is in the crafting system. I hope it is. And I hope you can stick it on gloves. Because it would be, I have a feeling this is going to be a crafting spot for me in terms of filling out my gear sets.
Are you referring to the new update crafting?
Can of crafting, yeah.
Oh, okay. Not sure. I don't think it's on the new Slave Lords crafting.
The healing amp?
Right, I don't think it is.
Well, we'll look at it when we get
Could
there.
be wrong. Yep.
Yeah, so there's gloves. Anything anyone wants to say on gloves before we move into game news?
Yeah, I got one more I'd like to mention just for the new players there.
Go for it.
The gloves of Nullhide for rogues, they're really easy to come by. They drop out of the Fleshmaker's lab, and they got a plus 13 disable and plus 13 open lock, so really all you need is a search item. And it's got a yellow augment and a colorless augment, so if you want to drop in a, the Master's Gift in there, you can do that. Level 13, not too bad. You can find them on the auction house, the Shard Exchange, and that quest is always being ran since it's usually in the TR runs.
Or, they're not bound either, I don't think, right?
They're bound on equip.
Yeah, so you can find them in the auction house probably too if you want to go that direction as well.
But a great starter item.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think with that, we will get into game news. Not a whole lot, as is fairly common right before an update. Of course, update 32 is supposed to be coming out on Tuesday, September 13th. They have a promo page up for that, which we'll link to in the show notes. It looks cool. It just kind of says what if you've seen them before, probably what you're expecting. It's got some screenshots and then some really nice fancy text saying what's coming and stuff like that. So there's also update 32 named Loot Guide. And we'll just kind of go around the table real quick. We'll start with Antha this time. Kind of,
all right.
What are your general thoughts about the Update 32 loot? Anything that really kind of stood out to you?
I really like the loot. I think it's pretty well balanced. What stood out for me was the Slave Master staff. That's got some really high, the elemental spell power for the heroic version, which is level 28. I think it's like 172, I believe. The only thing is it's a two-handed item, so I personally don't like using two-handed items, but I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for one of those. I also found the the slave rags pretty hilarious. Kind of reminded me of Game of Thrones. I was like, yeah, I got to get one of those for my mules.
Yeah, the look looks pretty nice. Axel, what are your thoughts on it? I know you had a video about it. What are kind of your quick thoughts?
Right. Well, I'll have to second that on the slave rags. Like, I'm definitely going to make a cosmetic out of that. That's hilarious. The probably my favorite item would probably be the helm, the legendary executioner's helm, because it has the relentless fury um, on it, which is the same attribute that's on your black dragon scale from Giant Hold, and it's going to be really nice to actually be able to get that effect again. I know personally I had to kind of put that away for better loot, but now I'm able to get that again. Really nice extra DPS boost.
Looks great too. I really
Hmm.
like how they're taking into consideration the art with the new items.
I think you're gonna. I think that's gonna be a common thing that you're gonna see. I, I don't. I'm trying to think. They haven't really come out with like an actual store cosmetic um, gear for a while, right? It's kind of just what's there. They seem to be much more going for the. We'll give you like here's mirrors of glamoring, and then we're gonna put it on the new stuff, which actually is a fairly good business decision because it gets people to run the new stuff, right? And actually maybe you don't really care about what's on the item itself, but you want what it is, like the look of it, right? So
Right. I mean, if you're going to do the artwork, you may as well put it on an actual item to
yeah.
give people the option to wear the item or to just strip it of the cosmetic and use it. So, yeah.
One of the things, also, so besides the cosmetics, I'd say there's two things that really stick out to me. One is the Mutilator of Minds, which is an orb, which has insightful enchantment focus on it, which is nice. Quality impulse, which is pretty slick, and quality spell focus mastery 2. And range slot. I always like range slots. They're pretty rare. So I really like that one. And then I would also say that I'm not I'm not really looking forward to doing more crafting on items in general. I think I'm just kind of a little burned out right now with Temple of Elemental Evil and Legendary Green Steel and Thunderforge and doing a lot of crafting. And I'm kind of focusing on other things right now as opposed to not quite as much on the gear side of things. But I do really like the new items that they're coming out that are craftable, just from the standpoint that the fact that you can wear it in different slots is really intriguing to me, and I think it will open up um, some really interesting gear combinations and choices and things you can do with that. Plus, they're also bound to a count, which is pretty darn cool. So you can like work on them, and uh, you know, if one character stops using it, you can pass it to another character later. So I'm really happy about that as well. Uh, so there you go. That's our quick thoughts on Update 32 loot. Um, Other fun news. So this is kind of notable, just because, for no other reason than DDO Players News got to quote break the news. There were some rumors, and I think some people on that might have been leaked from the Players Council. I think I saw, but Cordovan let everyone know from while he was on DDO Players News this week that Turbine is quote very interested in doing Ravenloft, and it's probably a matter more of when, not if. So of course that's pretty exciting. Um,
That is very exciting.
uh, I take it you're a fan of Ravenloft.
Yeah, my DM killed us all in that module.
I hear that's a common theme. I haven't actually run it
Yes,
myself, but
Strahd's nasty.
uh,
I hope they do him justice in the game though if they come out with it.
it certainly seems to the classic module dungeons seem to be very popular, as is evidenced by the fact that we're getting our third one with this update on Tuesday. They're talking about doing Ravenloft. It's certainly generated a lot of excitement just in terms of people want to run and want to see DDO's versions of these popular modules. Uh, they've done a good job with them, I think, so far.
Yeah, I think they're here to stay. I think we're gonna be getting them, hopefully yearly.
I like that they tend to have a very different, at least like Haunted Halls and Temple of Elemental Evil. Uh, for me, feel very dungeon crawly. They feel very pen and paper like in what you're doing. Probably because they have the roots in pen and paper, but they don't feel like DDO quests. They feel like pen and paper quests that I'm playing DDO
Right.
with, which is always nice. I personally like Haunted Halls more than I like Temple of Elemental Evil. Probably just has to do with how many. I think Haunted Hall has more interesting encounters, where Temple of Elemental Evil has a lot of encounters, but they're just kind of the same encounters, just scattered across the dungeon. But I do like part 2 a little better than like part 1. In any case, so we're likely getting Ravenloft. Severlin was also actually talking about the possibility, because we've been told that they're looking at doing an expansion the end of next year. One of the things that Severlin said, I think on the Damsels, is one thing that they're looking at doing with that expansion is perhaps that being a Ravenloft, like being part of that expansion. So we'll see where that goes. Steelstar chimed in on the forums a little bit, talking about balancing and fixes. And some of the stuff that he said is, so there are relatively small targeted balance adjustments to Warlock, especially Enlightened Spirit, in the works for sometime after Update 32. I'm hanging my hat on the small targeted balances. So,
Yeah, whatever that means.
yeah, I do like that. He also said that Wolf Tree build fixes are coming. The timing has less to do with the severity and priority and more to do with the complexity. There is also time to fix Warlock before broken Druid abilities. It takes less time to repair a crack than to rebuild the dire wall, which that's a fair statement there. The planned Warlock changes are based primarily on data collection and testing. Warlocks aren't the most powerful damage dealers in the game, but neither are Paladins and Barbarians. Which, of course, brings up the question, who is?
I was gonna say, when I read that, I was like, well, who is?
Yeah, right?
Who's left?
I think fighters are actually in a pretty good spot right now. I feel like my fighter got a lot more powerful after the update. His melee power went up by like 50 or something crazy like that. Let's see. Other things. For that matter, they really haven't been hearing that, quote, melee powers are up so that their OP paladins and barbarians aren't miles ahead of all the casters anymore at all. Even if they had, they would not be the sole deciding factor. And, of course, he said endgame is not the only measure that counts, which is a fair statement. He also said that the fact that some changes are necessary is not diminished by the fact that other necessary changes have not happened yet. Also kind of fair from a design standpoint. So, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts about some of that?
If I had to guess, I'd say we might see some like minor reductions, but I don't think there's any reason for any player, no matter what your class is, to flip out over any of that.
I was gonna say I'm not concerned, so
You shouldn't be. I shouldn't be concerned.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying small targeted balance adjustments. He's not saying that we're completely nerfing the tree or anything. So
I don't think they would ever massively, nerf any class. So I wouldn't worry about it.
I'm guessing
it's not WoW.
Yeah, I'm guessing the burst is kind of the bursting abilities are probably going to see a decrease in damage.
Yep.
That's kind of where I would expect to see some changes. Perhaps even a longer cooldown instead of reducing the damage. I don't know. If I had to guess, that's where I'd say it's going to be. Public service announcement. We should do this in public service announcements. Update 32 is coming on Tuesday, September 13th. What that means is the old crafting is going to be no more. So, if you have any of the current / old Cannith crafting shards, either use them or grind them into bits now. You have a couple of days, but after the update hits on the 13th, and it will probably come out in the morning because that's usually when they do it, you're not going to be able to use those anymore. They will be nothing more than junk. And I don't even know, can you even sell those shards?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you create an unbound one, you can.
Well, so if it's bound, you can't sell it?
Right, but you can create unbound ones to sell. People sell them on the auction house.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about just at a vendor.
Oh, no, I don't believe you can.
Yeah, the shards won't be worth anything because you can't craft with them anymore. So, if you still have some, grind them into bits. That's probably the best option. If you want to use them on something, use it before Tuesday. Bonus days for the week: double daily dice XP and plus 20% guild renown through September 11th. It seems like the double bonus days is here to stay. That's been fairly consistent for about a month, other than I think last week when it was just bonus to XP. So, and if you're one of those folks that is saying that, well, double daily dice XP, but my gold rolls on Wednesday. Next time it comes up, put it on the weekend. Just let it sit there painfully and take it on the weekend. Or the smart thing to do is do it on Thursday, because over time, like I did this like a year and a half ago probably, and just started doing it. I think I rolled it on Friday, and it wasn't until like last week that my gold roll fell all the way to Monday because of my schedule.
That just happened to me too.
Yeah.
I was upset.
I think because it's not actually like a full 24 hours, right? Because I had Monday off, I was able to like roll fairly early in the morning, so I might be able to roll really late Sunday night. I'm hoping. But otherwise, it's gonna have to. Might just have to lose a week. So, in any case, store news. Still through September 11th. That's tomorrow. If you're listening to this live, Sunday. Double bonus points and autos boxes are on sale. If I had to guess, I would say that you're probably going to not see bonus points again until Cyber Monday, Black Friday timeframe. That would be a guess. There's probably going to be some sales usually. Actually, with that, if you're waiting to buy Menace of the Underdark or any of the other expansions, the last 2 years they've been on sale for like 75 to 85%. So you may choose to wait a couple of months for that. Let's see. Sales. 25% off of augments, jewelers' toolkits, cosmetics, and select cosmetic hats, helms, and headwear. You can also get a free Elixir of Angels tier with the coupon code DRINKUP. Or at least you could if the coupon code worked. It's apparently not working yet. The people that could fix it are on vacation, or on, not vacation, they're on the weekend, right? So they're giving them on the weekend, which is nice. I don't dispute that. I like weekends myself. And they'll probably, what I would expect is they'll fix the code on Monday, and they'll probably let it run for longer. That's usually what they do in those kind of circumstances. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any, torches and pitchforks over an Elixir of Angels tiers.
Yeah, right.
I think we'll get through this.
This is one of those things that kind of piles up in my my shared bank until I actually get to the point where I run out of other healing items, which I haven't had happen in a long while. So, yeah.
I just throw this when I roll up a new tune.
I immediately throw them away, so I don't have to deal with the inventory management.
I'm a light hoarder. I hoard consumables in the sense that I'll keep them because I know that I can consume them later. But yeah, I'm not very good about actually using them, so they tend to stock up. Yeah. In any case, let's see. I believe that brings us to community news. So we'll start with the 205th Chronicle, and the community spotlight here, celebrating the 100th episode of DDO Players News. Congratulations, guys! Well done. You made it to 100 episodes.
Congrats.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. The third podcast to make it that far. And when I say the third, I mean DDOCast got to 100 like a couple months ago. So
nice.
Yeah. Although they're really, other than DDOcast, and I'm not taking credit for this because I didn't actually start this. I've been doing it for a while, but Jerry or Cordovan started DDOcast almost 10 years ago as a weekly podcast. DDO Players News is really the only other podcast that's gone on very long as a weekly podcast. The Damsels are like bi-weekly. They were weekly for a while, or like 3 out of 4 weeks for a while. Cocktail Hour had a brief time where it's been a weekly show, but other than DDOcast, DDO Players News is by far the longest running weekly podcast for DDO. So great job. It's awesome to see another group doing it. And if you're only listening to DDOcast because you feel like you're going to get the same news out of DDO Players News, you're not going to. They do. This is much more specific to DDO. I talk about pretty much only DDO news. They get more into role-playing and board and tabletop games and stuff like that. So if you're interested in those topics, you can check them out as well.
It's a good show. I recommend it.
Yeah. And they have a much different perspective. Like the completely opposite perspective of myself. I've been playing the game for a long time, I'm at least a light power gamer, if not a full power gamer, depending on how you want to define that. These guys are, constantly finding new things in the game and having new experiences in the game and talking about that as well. So it's a much different perspective as well, which is pretty awesome. The guild hall for the week. I like the name of this guild. Schizophrenics Anonymous is a brand new Wayfinder guild that is looking for overachieving residents or transient favor hunters. If you're looking for that, you can go there. Comment for the week. If you had to guard your home with a DDO trap, what kind of trap would it be?
Okay, for me, it's going to have to be air jets because I don't want to accidentally kill my neighbors or pizza guy if he wants to come over to my house and knock on my door unexpectedly.
I'm afraid that an air jet would kill someone at my house because
it might
my
kill 'em.
driveway is like way is up. I mean, seriously, like next time it snows here, my driveway is going to be a sledding hill.
Maybe I should go with web instead, but it might kill him. But a blade trap would definitely kill him. So it's better than that.
Antha, what do you got?
I think I'd go with one of those little nature traps out there where it just falls out into the wood spikes.
Okay.
I think they're cool.
Oh, man. See, it says DDO trap, which takes out a lot of fun pen and paper traps. Yeah, I'd probably go with a snare, a net snare, because those things last forever. That'll hold people down for a while, and then I can kind of see them out and see if I want to talk to them or not. So, fansite news. We got a shout out for our episode last week, debating tieflings, kobolds, and psionics, which we'll talk about in our lightning post here. There's a lot of post discussion on that, which is great. The damsels of DDO cuddled giants. They were in the giant hold. We got a shout out also for I have a thread on the forums right now looking for some show ideas, just questions, and I have segments in here we'll get to in a minute talking about listeners' questions and tips we get from the listeners. Also just ideas for topics and debate questions as well. Let's see. Even gets monkeyed. City offered an in-depth guide to playing a Deepwood Stalker. Good little build there. Mickey planned the next Thazara, I think it's her main character, in Reincarnating. And Grimoire completed her 29th life. Very nice. It's a lot of lives. Let's see. The Update 32 preview video is available. They also have, of course, the named item guide we went through, and an updated canvas crafting guide. So you can find all of that as well. And they also had a link to massively.com, was talking about the future plans for DDO as well. So videos. So about the Update 32 preview video, so a couple things I pulled out of that that were noteworthy. They have added scaling, alacrity, and striding into the canvas crafting. So I think many people will be happy about that. They also so in the past, what it's been every time you craft a recipe, it makes it easier to craft, and thereby you get less XP. Now, if you have to craft a recipe twice before the level goes down, which means it will be harder to craft the second time than it used to be, but you won't have as much XP ransack. Which, by the way, the crafting XP ransack should still go away on True Reincarnation. There was a question about craftable orbs, which is something that they have discussed, but they don't have any plans yet. And they are still looking at mass deconstruction, which they haven't really gotten to yet. Actually, you had 2 videos this week. Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, I did. I've been, if you don't know, I do upload regularly to my YouTube channel. I've been on sort of a hiatus, but I've been uploading more regularly recently. 2 videos this week. One's about what knowledge means to me in DDO, and the other one is a video, about 15-minute video of me going through the new Update 32 loot. One by one. So if you want to see my thoughts on that, check it out.
Yeah, great. Let's see. Other stuff going on in the blog world. DDO Gaming talked about short manning raids. Tactlicious and Craftlicious had a few blogs this week. Probably the one most of note I liked, or the one I liked the best personally, was his timeline of loot. So he kind of looked at the history of random loot and crafting loot, kind of side by side. DDO Gamer had their Update 32 preview, so he kind of looked at what's coming with Update 32. DDO Players News, of course, had their 100th show. And as part of that, they have a bunch of giveaways. So some things they're giving away. They have a couple sets of 10th anniversary dice and Drow miniatures. They have Grim Tina's Guard Solo Tunnels and Trolls Adventure signed by the creator and artist, which were exclusive to Gen Con 2016. And they also have some Battle Bards digital codes as well. And they're running that contest through, I believe, September 20th. So as long as you enter before then, you can enter to win those. The anniversary dice and miniature combo and the adventure book are exclusive to the U.S. because they have to mail them. And unfortunately, shipping overseas is a little bit more expensive than they can muster. So, but still, if you are in the U.S. and you want some of those things, you should go for that. The Battle Bards code is anyone can get that because it's just an internet code. DDOCast news. So DDOCast Splat is still kind of going. Might be petering out a little bit. We've been struggling to get more than four of us together. But this week we went to Amrath and did some of the Archon Trial of the Archons quest, which was a lot of fun. And also for those who are interested, my guild. For some reason, I'm not exactly sure why this was decided we were going to do. But as a guild contest, we did Legendary Elite Shroud as a competition to see who could die the least compared to how many kills you could get. And there were like handicaps for different classes. Basically, we ran Legendary Elite Shroud, pseudo trying to kill each other. So it's on Twitch right now. I'll upload it to YouTube for people who want to watch that. There is that you can actually learn some strategy stuff about how to run Legendary Elite Shroud if you are interested in getting into that and you haven't been and you're not sure how to do it. But you can also see us kind of try to kill each other and not be as coordinated as we might usually be. There you go. General gaming news. Massively Overpowered had an interesting little article in their daily grind. How should long-running MMOs help new players? Which I think is something that I would say that DDO has kind of constantly had an interesting discussion on how to do that. Do you guys have any thoughts on that as far as it relates to DDO?
Just make it as easy as possible for players to get into the game. Just any hurdles you have in terms of just make the game easier to download, to find, to learn about. I know the starter area is could probably use little revamps, but maybe more guides, things like that. Is always good.
I personally think it's pretty good the way it is. The starter area, yeah, with the sunny and dark side of Korthos, could use a little revamp maybe, but I mean it's pretty friendly in my opinion.
I think the biggest thing that I noticed is it'd be nice if the paths were a lot better. I think one of the biggest challenges to kind of get into the game is just getting a character into the game. Just from the standpoint that character creation is a daunting process, particularly if you've not done it before in DDO, right? And I'm sure that turns some new players off. They download it and they're like, oh my gosh, what is it? Nope, done. So, so they couldn't use those now, but I would say it could be easier, shall we say? So, let's see. Other news. So Lotro, Lotro unveiled paid server transfers as in the launcher. So this is, I believe, using essentially the same tech that they use for Lomania for doing character copies. They have actually done that in Lotro for paid character transfers. I think they already had it for their test server as well, the character copy thing. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. So, and the reason I bring this up is obviously Lotro is a Turbine game, so this is something we could potentially be seeing for DDO down the road. You guys think that's good, bad, don't care? Any thoughts on that?
It's interesting, I guess. I don't see really why you'd want to pay to transfer if like the server's dying. That I think they should transfer you if the server is dead. But and then at the same point, well, if you've kind of blacklisted yourself, kind of so what, you're going to go over there and start some trouble on a different server. But I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way.
Don't we already have paid server transfers?
It's
I don't
not
think
in the
so.
launcher. We have in the past. I'm not sure if
Because
we
we have.
still do.
I thought it was like $25. I think we do,
We might.
if I remember
It
correctly.
seems like the technology that they're using here is a different way to do it. We should probably make it a little easier. They've essentially tested this for DDO already with the character transfers or the character copy to Lemania. So it'll be
Okay.
interesting. It would be interesting to see if this does come to DDO and what that does for things. I agree with you. Like if this shouldn't be a thing for combating low population on the server, right? They should just, if they need to do that, they need to figure out how to merge servers. Which, if you're wondering about merging servers, it's one of the things that they're kind of struggling to figure out with that is there's a lot of things that you buy that are specific to your server. Not your account stuff like 32-point builds and character classes but what we're really talking about more is guild airships. Those how could you transfer those? There's a couple things that are similar to that as well. Favor unlocks would be potentially problematic. Dracula is actually chiming in on the chat too, saying that this is for turbine points, not for money. So you could spend turbine points to do this, which opens up some more options as well. So theoretically, you could do a server transfer without having to pay for it if you put in the time. I don't have any idea how much it costs in terms of that, but
Yeah, this would be wonderful, but my understanding from reading things in the past is that there are some technical limitations to that. But if there's not, and they can streamline it like they did the new Lemania launcher, that would be wonderful. Win-win for everybody, I think.
certainly, if you want to change servers, make it easy for you to do it. That's nothing wrong with that. All right, we'll get into Lightning Post, and there's a lot of it, so that's pretty exciting. Thanks, folks, for thanks for writing in and being part of the conversation. I'll start with something from the chat room a little while ago. Let's see, Mandrasel Sims said he'd like to see the ability to do a public group without having to have a second tune in the group. I'm not sure why you would need to do that. But
yeah, I don't really understand what he means because you can throw up an LFM.
Well, it seems like he wants to have a group. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's asking about there. I can't really think of a reason why you would need to have a partied group in a public space, if that's what we're talking about. I mean, you're essentially a group of one at any point in time. So, yeah, I'm not. It could possibly have something to do with just being able to put up a join me automatically LFM for nothing in particular, but I'm not really sure what he's going for there. In any case, some stuff was written in. So this is mostly about our show last week. We were debating kobolds and tieflings as player races and psionics and a couple of things. Idle Bigots wrote in. He said he's definitely with Bonnie Bu on the Yuan T. Love to have a Yuan T, especially since they can be a +2 wisdom race, which DDO lacks. Other than deep gnomes. I would not mind seeing more +2 wisdom races. He has no real desire to see kobolds. They have halflings and gnomes already, and there are better races and core races to add. He already has an Uber thread about psionic ideas and the suggestions for this forum. He's kind of with Bonnie on the subject of go big or don't do it. He doesn't want to see half-assed psionics. He does like the idea of prestige feats enhancements for psionics, though. Like a very nice feat you could take depending on your past lives or class levels. Fuji Video rolled in. So this is about the question Cordovan asked. What page of the wiki should everyone know? He said it should be the one for the pit. Partly because not even He said nobody knows it, nobody at all, not even. And they said not even who wrote it. So the pit could be a good one as well. Sam wrote in. He was talking about a tier 4 or 5 kobold enhancement called From the Cracks, or Summon the Horde, where kobolds appear from the cracks in the walls or the floor and rush around the player, creating a temporary dungeon alert slow town for monsters, like a Save Me Hail Mary for the player to creep out from the horde. Urlock wrote in, talking about tails and horns. Tails and horns and cloaks, yes, but if they don't show or don't have them, he can live with it. However, because of DDO for dummies and DDO for even dummiers, I'm not really sure what he's talking about there, but tieflings and Asmar and kobolds have tails, and Wizards of the Coast, Warner Brothers wants and desires consistency for all Dungeons & Dragons. In his opinion, new players coming from other free-to-play MMOs expect tails, horns, and cloaks. Forgotten Realms. I'm not sure what FRP means in this stance. In any case, cosmetics are, in his opinion, the bread and butter of sales for Turbine. It depends on if you can see yourself in first person or third person. Does anyone really play this game in first person? I feel like third person is the much more common.
No, unless I'm trying to get screenshots. No.
Yeah.
I think if I could see my hands, I would play in first person.
There's just a lot of places where you need to see your feet, where you're jumping.
You need to be able to see around you.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I doubt many players do use first person.
Some of the things Urlock said. They said all this cosmetic tech could possibly bring out more exotic races in the races, cloaks, and even cosmetic steeds like horses, only seen in public areas. Not really sure our public areas are meant for horses, but could be kind of fun. He wants more cosmetic slots. Let's see. He also said that kobolds, or at least Cindy Robertson, who does the voice for kobolds, is what makes them so desirable. She is defined and created by accident an entire kobold movement, which is not untrue. He does like the idea of a quote hard mode. I think in terms of kobolds, as well as having iconic kobolds, and he liked the idea of cosmetic voices for kobolds, which could be a little interesting. Let's see. Psionics. He said Eberron is very much psionic, but what will it bring to power creep? So adding another plus 20 to start at cap for psionic bonus. You have to agree that, again, go big or go home. And yes to updating mind flares. He'd also like the idea of a D&D movie tie-in, as well as a Netflix series for D&D. And I think he gave thumbs up to my idea of being able to write dragons as well. Virtual Glib. So the number one wiki page everyone needs to read and understand is the home page. So many people don't even know that it exists. He said half his time in guild chat is linking the wiki when people ask questions that are mostly easily answered by reading the wiki, which is kind of fair. Tarun wrote in, this is how he thinks iconic kobold would go. It's a dragonkin kobold. In character creation, you pick the feat of what color dragon you serve, and then as you enter the world, the dragon grants you one of its scales and some of its blood for the ceremony of binding. Every few levels, you get more scales. So by level 15, you have a full suit of dragon scale armor. It's kind of talking about your armor kind of scaling up as you go. So that could be kind of an interesting option as well. Hipparan said he feels like Tiefling would look messed up not having horns while wearing a bandana, for instance. Kobolds having dragon breath doesn't sound very good. He'd say that's more of a dragonborn thing. And Psionics could have an ability where social skills will always succeed, but they have a longer cooldown. He likes the idea of Psionics being an enhancement tree like Harper. I think it was probably one of the better ideas we came up with. James wrote in, said, how can you ask if Tieflings should have horns and tails? It's like asking if Dorms should have beards. That's fair. I do not disagree. The reason why we asked the question is because it's been a common thing that's brought up from Severlin in particular, of how do they do horns and tails? Do they need to do horns and tails? They feel like they I think have made it pretty clear, Turbine has made it pretty clear that they want to do horns and tails, and they feel that they should do horns and tails. There's also a comment of not having a new race too soon in general. Kirkos wrote in, he'd love to see some Dragonland stuff. Have Wrestlin as an NPC, giving quests that parallel the first 2 trilogies. And he also, this was from our episode of 442, saying that the best thing a new player can do is read wiki pages on the class they want. It helps in planning and vision. You can see what is coming later and keep you excited as you push through the first few levels. Graskitch wrote in as well, saying he liked my idea of iconic kobold being the shaman. He's advocating for tieflings that should have horns. Tails could be optional, but he would like to have a tail that moves. And he was also interested in the idea, shares his idea for having psionics be enabled by a feat and then opening up an enhancement tree, kind of like Dragon Marks. And Rude67 said, please, yes, psionics. He's wanted to play psionics for years. There you go. That's all the lightning post. A lot of lightning posts there. Anything you guys want to add, comment to on some of that stuff? Nope. Okay.
No.
That's fine. Our survey question for the week comes from Merry Old Soul, and they're asking, how do you spend your turbine points? Well, I'm a VIP, so I tend to I don't tend to buy content in classes and stuff like that. Even the ones that I don't get as a VIP, I've typically unlocked. How do I spend my points? Autos boxes occasionally. I've bought a couple of Mirrors of Glamoring. A lot of character upgrades. Bank space, inventory space, some tomes, usually not stat tomes, or skill tomes, more like Tomes of Fate. I spent, they had a big sale on Tomes of Fate a ways back, so I bought a bunch of those. That kind of stuff typically. I don't know, what about you guys? What do you like to spend points on?
Other than new content, typically I buy a lot of Mirrors of Glamoring. I have a big set of cosmetics aside that I like to use. So that's probably where if I'm going to just go to the store and just buy something on impulse, it's usually a mirror. Occasionally I'll buy a Tomes, but not all that often.
I'm VIP as well, so when I do spend them, usually it's on account upgrades like the bank and inventory spaces. Occasionally a cosmetic pet or two, and Mirrors of Glamoring.
Yeah, typically, like, the first time new shared bank space comes on sale, I buy it.
Same.
I usually don't buy it full price right when it comes out. I usually kind of wait for it to go on sale. But most of my characters have at least 1 or 2 inventory upgrades. I don't remember how many there are right now that you have to buy. There's a couple of characters that I like, my rogue and my artificer, because they tend to have so much gear stashed away and scrolled away for this, that, and the other thing. They tend to have my artificer. My artificer has like all the inventory space you can get right now, and he's got like 10 open slots. And I don't understand how that is, but that's what he's dealing with. Carries a lot of wands around, I guess. I do not buy cosmetics typically, other than an occasional Mirror of Glamoring. I've bought maybe 4 sets of armor, 4 sets of cosmetic armor, mostly because characters at the time were wearing something that I didn't like to look at, and it was kind of their endgame gear this time. So, let's see. So with that, we'll close up the show here. Axel, do you want to plug your YouTube page a little bit?
Yeah, I run a DDO fan site on YouTube. You can find me. Just go to YouTube, type in Axel's DDO channel or just Axel DDO. You'll be able to find me. You can also find me on the fan site section of the DDO.com forums. And been uploading pretty regularly lately, so check out my videos.
Antha, do you want to plug anything?
No, I'm okay.
All right. So thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to the folks in the chat room. And thanks to these guys here for joining me today and all the contributors for DDOcast. It's a great group of folks. And thank you to Turbine and Wizards for making DDO happen. And thanks to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendars, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be part of the show or have a comment on this episode or any of our episodes, if there's a question you'd like to hear us answer in the section where we answer a listening question, or if there's a topic you'd like to hear us debate or talk about, just leave a comment, or you can send me an email at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media for the latest cast updates. I am at DDOCast. Our closing tip for the week comes from Sorta on Arganessen. If you have to ditch stuff, make sure it's things like arrows and gems or ammunition, or be sure it's really trash loot. And if in doubt, just double check the plat values first. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chests level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to get rid of all your old crafting stuff.